That's my boy. Bree was holding the baby, screaming my name, and he was all purple.
In that moment,
all I cared about was forcing air into his lungs. Oh, okay. Hey, bud.
Say hello. Can you smile over the camera?
Can you say hi? Yeah.
This day.
So about today. First of all, we haven't stopped staring at this boy since 3:14 p.m. this afternoon.
Is that when it happened?
That's when it happened. So I just got back from taking Brielle her dance stuff and been sitting here for 15 minutes just trying to process some things. Before I left, I came back in the house after taking out the garbage and Bree was holding the baby, screaming my name. And he was all purple. Jensen had the worst blue spell that he's had yet. And it was scary. I had gone out to take out the trash.
Well, I was in feeding the baby.
Yeah, while she was inside. Mm-hmm. And after just a couple minutes, I came back in and she was screaming my name. And I didn't know what was going on, so I didn't know if it was a good scream or a bad scream. It was just a scream. It was screaming my name. Can't necessarily be good. So I come in, see him and in her arms, and she's holding him up, trying to hand him to me. And he was all purple, and he wasn't breathing. His trachea had completely collapsed. Usually after it collapses, after he relaxes, he can breathe again, but not this time.
Which all of this, they prepared us for all of these things.
Yeah.
They told us this could happen. They told us what to do, but it just hasn't happened yet.
And I just never, there were a couple times that it was close. But that we have to do CPR. But it hasn't been like that
for a while either.
It's been a couple weeks since it's...
Because it has felt like he's been getting better. Mm-hmm. He hasn't had a bad blue spell. He's, he's kind of done it it seems like they've been happening less, and then he hasn't had a bad one for a long, long time.
Until today, which just so happened to be the worst one yet.
I feel like that's why it was maybe like a little bit more... It was unexpected. I wasn't thinking we would experience that.
Yeah.
And he literally was like gone.
When I first grabbed him from Bree, I actually didn't know. Because he was limp, he was staring at the ceiling, like you could kind of tell he couldn't really see because he was just staring at nothing. He was staring into nothing. So when I grabbed him, it's not like he looked over at me. He was
like he was unconscious.
Yeah. And in a way, he kind of was. When you go that long without oxygen, your body just starts to, oh man. Anyway, I think I've cried enough for the day that right now I'm just exhausted. But, it's been literally all day since 3:14 p.m. this afternoon. He wasn't breathing. I grabbed him and just tried to assess, I don't know, and ended up forcing it open with CPR. Just blew into his mouth and his trachea. I had to do it a couple times because the first time it didn't open, and the first time it, oh my gosh.
Well, I was just freaking out. I didn't know that I would lose my mind like that. I was just screaming, crying. I was looking for my phone, trying to call 911, but then my phone was dead. And then I just kept running back to the baby, screaming. I was just screaming, is he breathing? Is he breathing? And Derek was luckily the one that was able to keep it together because he gave him, I don't know, the breath. Mouth to mouth.
Yeah.
And he did it about 3 times.
The first time, nothing happened. The first time I breathed in his mouth, I did CPR and I felt nothing.
But he didn't
nothing
feel air
happened.
going.
Yeah, it was, so I had to breathe harder the second time. And then on the third time, I could feel that he was getting some air, and I think that opened it up enough that he could start to breathe on his own. And the first few breaths that he did were really shallow, and I was still paranoid is he getting enough? But he was breathing. I mean, he was breathing. He was getting some oxygen. So, look at this kid. He's just such a good boy.
And after it happened, he cried. We all cried.
A lot.
We all cried.
It took me a minute. I took Brielle's stuff to her for dance. And it wasn't for another, just till I got home 10, 15 minutes later that it just kind of all settled in, and I just couldn't keep it together anymore. It was a shock. You can't explain it.
No,
So I won't try.
Yeah. I laid on the couch right after Derek got him breathing again. I just laid down and I was, just sobbing, crying, and then he was trying to hand me the baby, and like my arms were so, it was like my body couldn't work. I was like in shock. But luckily, I mean, a couple of people asked us, like why we didn't call 911, and it's just, I mean, once he was breathing, we weren't worried anymore, and we contacted his surgeon and we discussed it with her,
and part of that too is because calling 911 takes time. And
in that moment,
all I cared about was forcing air into his lungs. 911 would take 10 minutes to get here.
He would have died before they got here. He couldn't just sit there.
That was the second time that I thought I was watching my son die.
Yeah.
First when he was born, and second today.
But in some ways, today was scarier to me because at the hospital when it was happening, it was like the doctors were there. Like if it got scary, somebody would be there. It wasn't on us. Today, it was on us. Like it's like, if you don't know what you're doing, he's not gonna make it. And I feel like it was such a tender mercy that Derek was here today, because he's always at work.
And what was funny is today I needed to get back to work after Scott and Camber had left around 1 o'clock, but I just didn't want to. I mean,
he's like, I'm just gonna get some stuff in the yard done or whatever.
Yeah, I just stuck around today, and I'm so glad that I did.
I don't know what I would have done if I would have been alone. Even just the fact that like he had gone outside but literally walked in the door, it wasn't like I had yelled like Derek, Derek, Derek. Like
I didn't hear anything.
Yelled a lot of times for him. Like he walked in the door the second everything was happening, and so he could be helped very quickly. Because I obviously wasn't doing a good job of helping him, but like Derek came in the second I needed him. And
if you've never had to force air into your baby's lungs, be sure to thank whatever God you believe in. It was definitely the scariest moment of our lives.
right now, I just can't stop staring at him. Like, I feel so thankful that he's okay right now. He's happy and
He's okay. He was so purple. And then after he finally started to breathe again, he was just so pale and...
Yeah, we talked to the doctor about this, and so after he has one of these episodes, his skin loses all of its color. It goes basically a gray color.
grayish white, yeah.
So we asked why this happened, and it takes quite a while for him to regain all of the color back in his skin. It's because when he's not breathing and he's not getting that oxygen, our bodies are so amazing. They naturally send the blood to the more vital organs, basically to help you stay alive. So it sends the blood to his vital organs, and then it takes a while for everything to disperse. So that's why his skin loses all color, because it really loses its blood supply. It's really just scary to see him that way too, because that's another thing. It's like he's finally breathing, but he doesn't look good.
He looks
awful.
But not now. No offense, buddy. You look good now. Just please don't do that again. I do have to go to work tomorrow. I can't always be here.
That's not allowed.
Deal?
We don't really have a lot of words. That was very emotionally exhausting
So draining.
experience.
So draining. And finally, when we got around to talking about it, Because obviously the last thing on your mind when that's happening is anything else. But finally, when we got around to talking about it and posted about it to just kind of let people know, because we have a lot of family and friends that watch our stories and posts. It's our way of keeping them posted. We've had so many people reach out and just express their love and concern.
It's just another reminder. We felt this in the hospital. We've felt it the whole time. I mean, people are so good, and that's what gives us the strength to be able to not be completely devastated. I mean, I wanted to curl up in a little ball and just cry, but people have been so kind, and you know, people, strangers or people that you don't know very well, or you know, it makes you realize, like, this is why we're on this earth together, is to...
Can't do it alone.
Yeah, we need each other. We need each other, and the support that we can offer someone can literally affect whether they feel like they can get through a day or a minute or a terrible experience. And we know what we're experiencing is and this is what is heartbreaking to me, is like what we're experiencing is just a tiny glimpse of what some people have gone through. You know, people who've lost their children, who've lost their parents, who've lost their spouses, anything like that. Like, we're just getting a little glimpse of that, and like our hearts ache for people who've had to go through that.
Can't even imagine.
But I do know that through the support of others, we can have the strength to continue and to keep going through this life, doing whatever
it takes.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. We're thankful for this little boy. Gratitude is the word of the year, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is. But don't ever do it again.
No more of that. No more of that.
Just don't have the words right now to really say anything else. Just thankful that he's doing okay.
Yeah.
And that he's still here. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for all your comments and support.
He's got a lot to say, and we're so glad.
It's my boy. Say goodnight. Good night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.